Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we are continuing the coverage of the Idaho 4. Every day, it seems like these little bits of pieces come out, whether it's from a family member that is very close to this investigation or police releasing some press releases. And so we're going to be diving into what it is that we know. Now, here is the truth. There's always a lot of people out there throwing things about this story. I'm not going to cover everything. I'm looking for reliable sources around this case. So obviously you probably hear a bunch of things that you may not hear on this channel because I want to make sure that it's confirmed. So let's go ahead and dive into what it is that we know now. Any new updates? Let's go ahead and get into it. DailyMail.com shared some images of the Moscow murder house. And before we dive into these images, I will say there's no blood. There's nothing that I would say would be a trigger warning, except that this is the home where these 4 young students were brutally stabbed to death. And so these images that I'll be sharing, they're not going to be some big crime scene images. So if you're here to see a bunch of blood, you're not going to see that. But what you are going to see is that they lived like college students. They lived like college students who partied as well. A lot of things we would see in a college student's house many days of the week is what you're really about to see here. Starting with this image right there. And so you can see a partially consumed cold coffee drink, a nearly empty bottle of over-the-counter medicine, a houseplant struggling to stay alive, an unwashed frying pan containing a napkin, 2 steak knives, and a spaghetti server. They, alongside a stack of red Solo cups, several cereal bowls with spoons still in them, and an empty microwavable popcorn bag. And truth is, nothing out of the ordinary around student housing. They live on their own. They don't have parents telling them what to do. So really, nothing out of the ordinary there. Cups so that they can always have a cup that they don't have to wash, or a cup for their beer. We all know the red cup stories, right? At the fraternity parties and outings and things like that. But really, nothing out of the ordinary to see in a student housing. And these images that are from dailymail.com, they show the lives of 5 girls all living together under one roof near the University of Idaho campus. Now, 3 of them and 1 of their boyfriends were killed in this house, leaving behind the objects of their everyday existence that now are on view through the windows of 1122 King Road in Moscow. And as cops prepare to turn over the house, as they're closing out their crime scene, they're in the last stages of getting every little piece of evidence that they can possibly get out of there before turning it over to the landlord. But you can see where Kaylee, Maddie, Zaina, and Ethan, you could see what happened right there at the very end of their life and what this place looked like a little bit. And so, this is less than 3 weeks since this has happened, and this is what we're seeing. At night, the house is lit by an eerie glow coming through the top floor where Kaylee lived and died. It emanates from a computer monitor in her bedroom that, despite the dozens of investigators who have, went through this whole 3-story home in the past days, no one has turned this computer monitor off. On the screen, visible through the window are the words, "No network detected." The computer to which it was attached is in the Moscow Police Department custody, as investigators hope they'll find anything in this that can lead to their killer. And Haley, Maddie, Zaina, they lived in the home with 19-year-olds Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen, who were spared during this attack. Ethan was there with his girlfriend, Zaina, when the killer struck. The house where they died was known locally as a party house. The neighbors said there were people going in and out of that house all the time, literally because they drank a lot, they partied, and it is what it is. Hints of that can be seen through the window of the main living area. A row of red Solo cups is lined up on a white plastic table, and which this really looks like a sign of beer pong. You know, a game that college fraternities, partiers, they all do. Sororities, this is a beer pong is well known in the party scene. Also on the table is an empty Bud Light lime beer bottle, a potato chip bag, and a blue serving bowl. On the back wall hangs a garland of artificial greenery, complete with a Good Vibes neon sign that remains illuminated. A pink pastel abstract painting, clearly a girl's touch on this painting. It hangs on another wall not far from the Good Vibes sign. Underneath the painting stands a console table with holiday lights wrapped around it, showing the students had their minds already on Christmas, even though the murders occurred 11 days before Thanksgiving. I, for one, we put up lights before Thanksgiving. We start celebrating before Thanksgiving. So this is not out of the ordinary, in my opinion. The house is still cordoned off by yellow police tape, but the search inside has largely ended. The house has given up whatever secrets it has, as cops are no longer going through every little piece of it, as they're almost done. But there still stands a police guard outside night and day to make sure that no one goes in. Again, as we know, police have still not announced any suspects, not announced any person of interest, and they haven't found the murder weapon despite this intensive search that they've been doing, again, for almost 3 weeks. And yesterday I reported how 5 snow-covered vehicles that had stood outside the house were towed to a more secure long-term storage location on a couple days ago. That's where officers hope that they can continue processing evidence through the cops, through the cars that the cops had seized. Now, Idaho law enforcement officials now say they're not sure if the murder of 4 college students were targeted in a major backflip in the case. The Moscow Police Department, they issued a press release on Wednesday, November 30th, yesterday, saying that they are now unsure of the claim that the attack on the university students was intended for any of the occupants of the home. Detectives do not currently know if the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted, but continue to investigate, a detective said. And this shocking announcement, it came as family and friends were gathered to honor and remember Kaylee, Maddie, Zaina, and Ethan, who were murdered on November 13th at their off-campus house. No suspects have been publicly identified, as I mentioned, and we're just waiting anxiously to see, will this get solved or will it go cold? Now, early Wednesday morning, just yesterday, November 30th, Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, he told a local news station that investigators believe that this attack was intended for a specific person. And then within hours, the Moscow Police Department posted to their Facebook or Twitter making a clarification. And it shared conflicting information has been released over the past 24 hours. The Latah County Prosecutor's Office stated the suspects specifically looked at this residence and that one or more of the occupants were undoubtedly targeted, the police department said in a post. We have spoken with the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and identified this was a miscommunication. Detectives do not currently know if the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted, but continue to investigate. This wasn't the first time that officials close to the case has said it was a targeted attack. Which is like, don't blame Latah County prosecutors. You guys have been telling us this, right? Recently, Moscow Police Chief James Fry told ABC News that police still believe this is a targeted attack. Everyone wants answers. We want to give those answers as soon as we can. Fry shared. Police had initially said they believed there was no imminent threat to the community, but that also was later walked back. And Fry, he told ABC News, I owned the messaging problem at the very beginning. We should have done a little better than that. We needed to correct that. And also on November 23rd, Moscow Police Captain Roger Lanier, he said that investigators did in fact believe that the group killed was targeted. And he said, we've told the public very clearly from the beginning that we believe it was a targeted attack. To be honest, you're going to have to trust us on that at this point because we are not going to release why we think that. And those exact words come from the captain. He said that. And I remember reporting on that. Now they're walking it back saying, well, we don't really know if someone was targeted, changing their terminology. So I don't know what's up with all of that. But additionally, Indiana State Police Communications Director Aaron Snell had previously stated as well that they believed the attack was targeted. And he says there were survivors of this. And then as well, based on the evidence internally at the scene that has led detectives to believe and continue to believe that this was a targeted event. Snell would tell Fox News Digital that on November 26. Within hours of the Moscow Police Department issuing the clarification on Wednesday, November 30th, loved ones and the community members gathered on campus for a vigil, remembering the 4 students. At this vigil, Kaylee's father drops a bombshell that we did not know. Kaylee's father, Steve Goncalves, revealed his daughter and Maddie died in the same bed. It had previously been reported that the 2 girls were in separate bedrooms when they were stabbed to death by the unknown assailant. Goncalves said he had learned that his daughter did not suffer in her final moments, but did have large punctures from a brutal weapon that police say the killer was proud of. He says, the detective said this weapon is probably something the killer paid money for and something that they're proud of. Mr. Goncalves revealed for the first time how his daughter died alongside her longtime best friend Maddie in the same bed. The grieving father called the girls absolutely beautiful and shared his gratefulness over the girls finding each other in 6th grade. And every day they did homework together. They came to our house together. They shared everything together, Steve said. Then they started looking at colleges. They came here together. They eventually get into the same apartment together. And in the end, they died together in the same room, in the same bed. This announcement came as a bit of a shock to many. We did not know that all along. We were told that they were upstairs in separate bedrooms, so it's hard because again, all of this was still in the early stages, right? This is still in the early stages until there's a suspect. But we're running out of time. We've always heard that the first 48 are the most crucial hours to an investigation. They have long passed 48 hours, so we have to wait to see what would come of this. But Steve said during the vigil that in this dark time, he has found comfort in the knowledge that his daughter was with her best friend. But the beauty of the two always being together, he continued, was that they were with their best friends in the whole world. And as of yesterday, 17 days out from when the students were murdered, no suspects have been publicly identified. The murder weapon, believed to be a fixed blade knife, also has not been recovered. Despite public outcry, law enforcement officials have also not released a profile relating to the killer and have said that it could damage their investigation. Police said they believe releasing a profile could lead to more fear and suspicion in the town. And you can see the two that were in the same room, in the same bed. Here they are pictured together as well. Police share that in the last month, in November, they said they have received over 70 calls, up from just 18 for the same issue throughout October. We understand there is a sense of fear within our community, police said. Former FBI investigator Bill Daley, he recently posed his theory into the stabbings after police said that, there has been an increase in unusual circumstances since the students were murdered. He said there are a couple of things that are starting to suggest that there was someone in these people's orbit that caused this incident to come about by this murderer. That's what Daley would share. He told Fox News he believes there is justification for the argument that the murders were targeted also. Someone would have had to know the inside of the home, know their routine, Daley said. If it was someone on a rampage, like a mass murderer, they would have also gone downstairs and harmed the others. And this is where it does get challenging, right? Because you can see where everyone was found. You had the two best friends upstairs in the 3rd floor. You had the boyfriend, Ethan, and girlfriend, Zaina, in the 2nd floor. And then you had the surviving victims in the 1st floor. Now, depending on the way that the killer came in, if the killer came in through the side door, the killer, unless they knew the layout of this home, the killer may not have known that the two were downstairs. If they came in through the sliding door, they could have been looking at the girls upstairs from a different window. I'm just speculating. Speculation at work here. But if the killer came from a side door, he very well could have not known that there was a downstairs living level where two people can actually live. Maybe I'm just speculating because of the way this house looks. Because a lot of times, the way that looks, at least from the side angle, it looks like it could be a basement instead of a 1st floor. So maybe the killer didn't know there was anyone downstairs. But if, as this guy does, as the Mr. Daley does say, if it was someone who knew the layout of the home, then why didn't they go down there unless it was targeted towards someone upstairs? But four, did they start at the very top and the two girls were first? Maybe the Ethan and Zaina heard them screaming, woke them up, and then the killer came down to them and they have the defensive wounds. Because according to the dad, it sounds like it was they didn't die of much pain. But we've also learned that someone had some defensive wounds. So if they were killed first on the third floor, and then maybe Zaina and or Ethan wakes up to their screams upstairs, maybe they heard, and that's why they would. I'm speculating here. Maybe they heard, woke up. That's why they had defensive wounds because they're like, something's not right. I'm speculating, but then the killer came down to them, and maybe the surviving victims never hear anything. I'm just speculating, my friends. But this is what we know so far and what we don't know. We don't know, right? And so rest in peace to everyone, to all the victims taken from this world way too soon. And it's stories like this that absolutely make it heartbreaking that this stuff even happens, and we're floored when it does happen. Like, can anything like this ever happen? We don't ever really know, do we? And so now we have to wait to see, when will there be a break in this case? When will we know more? And so it's only a matter of time. I truly don't believe that this will go unsolved. What do you think? Let me know in the comments on what you think. And from my understanding at the vigil, a lot of the family members were there. And so they did speak, and they shared some of what they were going through, and how hard this was, and how we really lost some beautiful souls. And so now we wait to find out, like, okay, coppers, when are you going to have something for us? So you are urged to please contact Moscow Police at 208-883-7180. That is 208-883-7180. And we really want some justice. We hope that we find some justice. And we want to know, do you know anything? Do you at all know anything? Please contact someone. Let someone else know. Speak, share. It is hard for me to believe that no one saw anything. And Zaina, she has her obituary out. And even though law enforcement has yet to identify the suspects, there was an obituary out for her. And, I will share a little bit of that. Zaina loved her dog, Shoeshine, enjoyed EDM music, going to concerts, spending time with her friends, and going on family trips with her sister and father. When she was little, she loved spending time on Grandma and Grandpa's farm and summers at the river. And, I'm just sharing some of it. I'm not going to share the whole thing. But it shows that she was taken from this world way too soon. And during high school, she worked at Texas Roadhouse. She went on to attend University of Idaho, where she majored in marketing and was an active member of Pi Beta Phi sorority and the Vandal Solutions sales team. And she is someone who was definitely taken away from this world way too soon, had so much life to live and so much love to give. Rest in peace, Zaina. Rest in peace, Kaylee. Rest in peace, Madison. Rest in peace, Ethan. Taken from this world way too soon by someone who truly lost their minds. No one in their right mind could do such a thing like this. I understand we all have that moment, that broken moment. Right now, it's not looking like someone close to them did this because there's no signs that someone was in the home with them, right? It's not what we're seeing so far. But you also got that it was a party house, so there's probably going to be multiple fingerprints that they're going to be interviewing people. They have ruled out a lot of people, and so you now seeing these eerie photos of the home. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me again on another episode of Deep True Crime. At the end of the day, I want to be a voice for the victims. If this is the type of content you like to follow, because my goal is to keep you updated on what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. My friends, hit that subscribe button. If you got some value, hit that like. And let's get this out in front of more people because truth is, this story cannot fall to the wayside. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, my friends, have a great day. Peace. Rest in peace.